How lucky do you feel a week after this attack?
Pretty lucky. I want to say lucky. I'm small and I'm agile and I'm quick, and I was able to, do my best to distance myself from the attack.
Boston Park Ranger James Lunnan speaking to me exactly 1 week after he and his supervisor, Al Hurd, were stabbed in a brutal attack on Boston Common near the Soldiers and Sailors Monument. This man, 34-year-old Bodio Hutchinson, a homeless man with a history of violence, was arrested. James Lunnan was stabbed 5 times. These pictures revealed the extent of his injuries. The stitches just came out Tuesday.
Still sore, a little stiffness moving around. But other than that, I mean, I'm doing better than, what I really think I should be doing. So.
Lunnan tells me it all started when a person in Boston Common told him about a man near the monument with a knife. At the monument, Lunnan and his supervisor saw Hutchinson smoking. They asked Hutchinson to extinguish his cigarette. Hutchinson did, and then Hurd asked him about a knife.
We informed him, hey, you match a description of an individual, with a knife. Do you have anything on you we need to know about pretty much? And he said, no, why would I?
Lunnan tells me Hutchinson tried to leave, but dropped his IDs on the ground. And that's when Lunnan says Hutchinson drew the knife.
Did he say anything?
He was swearing, like, let's go. Like, hit me now, let's go. Pretty much stuff like that.
Lunnan said his supervisor first used pepper spray to stop Hutchinson.
What was the reaction?
I watched him go like this and was still holding a knife in his hand.
Like it did nothing to him?
Pretty much.
Lunnan tells me he and Hurd ordered Hutchinson to drop the knife. Instead, Lunnan says Hutchinson lunged at Hurd, stabbing him in the abdomen. Lunnan reached for the only other weapon he had.
I had my baton in my hand and took a step back, swung at him once, I hit him once. He kept coming forward, went to take another step back, hit him again. At that time, he blocked it with his left arm, I believe, and I lost my balance because I was, backing up, swinging at the same time. Didn't really work out for me.
Cell phone video shows what happened next. Lunnan on the ground trying to roll away, but that's when he stabbed.
I could feel the warmth from the blood. I believe that was not from the arm, but the ribs is where I could feel the warmth sliding down my side.
You knew you were in trouble?
Yeah, I knew I was stabbed at least one time. I knew that right away.
Both men down, the attack ended in a way Lunnan never expected.
And the suspect pretty much sat down where we had initial contact with him in the beginning, sat down and pulled out a cigarette and decided to smoke another cigarette.
He stayed there and smoked a cigarette?
Yeah.
Help arrived when people at the scene ripped their own shirts from their backs to make tourniquets for the 2 injured park rangers. One of them, a man Lunnan arrested for assaulting him in the Common in August. James Lunnan is home now, but his supervisor, Al Hurd, is still hospitalized. Looking back on it, Lunnan says he would do it all again.
I'm glad it was me and him versus, someone, a tourist coming to check out the monument or someone coming to visit the Common and, maybe walk him up, or he didn't take to them too well. I'm glad it was us.
I got out and said, thank you, Lord. This is, this was, not meant to end the way it ended.
How do you make sense of being able to walk away from a crash against all odds? For Vinod George from Lexington, there are 3 answers. 10-year-old Josh, 8-year-old Tim, and 1-month-old Esther Grace.
I was a little shocked and nervous.
I think, God has a plan for everybody, and, until you fulfill those plans, you're not going anywhere, I think.
George's Thursday morning started out like any other. He kissed his family goodbye, not knowing that might have been the last time. Because on George's way to work just before 10 this morning, he was getting onto 128 on the Trapello Road ramp when a flatbed tractor trailer going the opposite way, carrying a large load of concrete beams, began to lose at least one of those beams.
This is happening right in front of my eyes, right? There is nothing I could do.
As the trailer went around the curve, a beam swung around off the flatbed and into George's Honda Pilot. It appears the concrete beam first hit the Pilot right here, and then it went through the front of the car, completely crushing it in. You can see it collapse like an accordion, but that actually might be what shielded George from that beam.
It was like an explosion. In one way, I think I was lucky, because if I was a second earlier or something, the beams would have been at a much higher elevation and it would have hit, at my level.
Call it timing or luck or both. George says he was filled with amazement just being able to get out of his car and feel his legs and arms. Tonight, he's using those arms to hug his children just a little bit tighter.
I was so happy that, I'm alive for my family and, to take care of them and, rather than them taking care of me, the rest of the life, right?
Daryl Ellison holds her favorite picture of her son, Carl Evan Yancey.
This is my handsome man.
A son who she loved with all her heart.
The world has lost a wonderful soul.
31-year-old Yancey was hit and killed on Belmont Street in Brockton about 9:30 Sunday night.
It's a mother's worst nightmare, and your son's not supposed to predecease you.
Carl Evan struck as he walked to this 7-Eleven just across from the Shaw's supermarket where he worked.
It's a shock.
Taylor Zito worked there too. He brought flowers to this growing memorial.
He was an amazing guy. You can never walk away from talking to him without a smile after.
Taylor wasn't alone. Person after person left flowers, wrote messages, and lit candles.
He was a gentle giant.
At 6'8" and over 300 pounds, Sophia said you couldn't miss Carl.
Carl was a very tall person. There's no way you could say you did not see him.
Police are reviewing surveillance cameras at the 7-Eleven and nearby stores to try to find the driver.
I'm asking if that person to please have the courage to turn themselves in.
Carl's mother says he loved life and people, and they loved him. A comfort to this grieving mother who says Carl Evan was her special gift.
I am honored to be my son's, to have him as my son. And if I had the choice of losing him at 32 or never have known him at all, I'll take this.
Carl's 32nd birthday would have been this Thursday. Instead of planning a birthday party, his mother now left to plan a funeral. Police in Brockton are asking anyone who may have seen anything on this street last night or know of a car with extensive front end damage to give them a call. We're live in Brockton tonight. I'm John Monahan, Fox 25 News.